Baby, you're in it. What? Oh.
To the socially awkward.
Thanks for the follow, Goodman. How's it going today? Alright, well, that was a pretty good song, I think, to let that end on. Kind of naturally faded out there. How is everyone doing today? I'm going to unmute in Discord. Is this the King Coda? No, it's not. I don't like that image being there. How is everyone doing today?
Good. Felt nice today. Weather was good. That's always a good thing.
So, this is episode 1 of Tower Radio. I'm the host, King Coda. Joining me is my friends Dead and Merc. Say hi, guys.
How's it going on? It's Dead AkinLawyer here.
Howdy, it's Merc.
Are you a Merc with a mouth, or you just a Merc though? That's the real question.
Apparently, he has a problem with tech.
Yo,
I'm a Merc of many things. Let's just keep it at that.
Understandable.
So, this is new. We're trying this out. The format might change in between this episode and the next one. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to hop in, play some games of Control, and basically talk about some points on the game that we want to talk about. One of the things I want us to start with, though, is how about everyone kind of give their current standpoints on Destiny, like how long you've been playing, what got you into it, stuff like that.
So while I started Destiny a little bit later than most people, I started after King Crota came out in D1, but I wasn't a Christmas Guardian though. I was that weird phase before Christmas, but like close enough to Christmas where I kind of was a new Guardian, but just before it. And that's when I first started Destiny, and been playing ever since.
Mer-
I'm even weirder. I played Destiny 1 when it came out. Didn't finish it because as it stood, I didn't like it. Played a little bit of Destiny 2 when it came out because my younger brother got it. Didn't like it, and I recently started a new character and got back into it. So I'm a casual.
A
I,
filthy, filthy casual. Ugh, imagine.
my history is I was a huge Bungie fanboy growing up, and I pretty much went straight from Reach into grinding Destiny, and did not have the best time when it first came out. I actually stopped playing right before Vault of Glass came out, and then everyone was like, "Dude, there's this like big thing where like you have to have 6 people and do things." Because before that, it was like the biggest thing was a strike, and it was extremely boring.
So what brought you into this? Was it the raid, that raid aspect that brought
the
you into
The
it?
raids definitely brought me back into it. I initially I was playing the PvP, but
Okay.
I was salty that the weapons were different because I was a fair starts AR guy back in Reach,
Mm.
and
Oh, so you're a long time Bungie kind of
yeah,
person,
yeah.
huh? Okay. Yeah, I only knew Bungie from was Halo 3 ODST was my introduction to Bungie, and then after that, never heard of them again until Destiny actually. Um, so
I'm in the same boat as Coda, except for I took the jarring experience that was Destiny. I took it a lot harder than he did.
Yeah, Destiny 1 in my Destiny 2 in my opinion is huge improvements on what Destiny 1 was. If you guys still love though Destiny 1, full power to it. I just Destiny 2 was definitely what's keeping me as opposed to Destiny 1.
really, that's crazy because I'm the complete opposite. Destiny 1 is what's keeping me going on Destiny 2. I have faith because I saw how good D1 was when it came to King's Fall and the Rise of Iron, and
Mm.
I'm hoping. So that's what's keeping me going for D2 with this new expansion coming up, Beyond Light. Is I'm hoping it's gonna be like the King's Fall feeling or that Rise of Iron feeling. Just when you just feel powerful. I haven't felt powerful in Destiny in a long time, to be honest with
Um, so yeah, okay. Let's move on to our first topic of the day, which is weapon vaulting. There are a lot of very good weapons in D2. Um, Mindbender's Ambition, Mountaintop, Recluse, Beloved, and they're all going away. What are our thoughts on what weapons are going, what weapons are staying? Do we think the weapons that are going will come back? What are some good replacements for those weapons?
Well, as a PvP only player myself, it's kind of disheartening to see all these weapons go away that I actually put time and effort into do that I normally wouldn't. Like the last wood I had to go into PVE. I know that's not being sunsetted, but stuff like that, or the beloved, the menagerie. I had to go do that. I had a fun time in that, but it being sunsetted, I feel like my time's being not rewarded or not.
Mm-hmm.
What's you know? But I like it because it's keeping meta fresh. Keeping things fresh, changing things
Right.
up.
Prevents
Um,
people from just using the same weapons over and over again.
right. You don't want to have mountaintops for 2 more years straight. No one wants that. That's going to be like the OEM phase that we had with Titans. No one wants to go through that again.
We're still in the OEM phase, really. Um, One weird thing I see, because I personally don't have an opinion one way or the other, because the weapons will still be useful in like regular Crucible. You just won't be able to take them into Trials and Iron Banner. and in-game
I,
raid
I,
content.
I
But
think that's fine though. Like
yeah,
that's perfectly acceptable, you know.
one thing though that
Um,
I find interesting is the gun that I'm currently using right now in PvP is the Rose, which is being sunset, but Lumina is not. Um, and they're not going to sunset any exotics. Well, they did. They plan to, but there's no like set time on doing that. But by
that'd be a big bad decision if they decided to sunset
I
exotics
I
out of all
agree.
things.
I think that'll be a lot harder thing. But
Yeah,
right now it's on
legendaries
their
are acceptable because like it's a legendary. You know, if you can get 30,000 other legendaries that do the same thing some way, you know.
right. But right
Um,
now, they aren't sunsetting any of them. But with like Sturm, for instance, in order for Sturm to be any bit useful, it needs Drang, and Drang's being sunset, both versions of it.
oh,
So they'll have
I
to
never thought about that.
re-release Drang in order to keep Sturm relevant, or make its perk work for like a different gun, um, like any sidearm or something. But as it stands right now, Sturm is basically sunset. Lumina doesn't need Rose; it's not quite the same thing, but you have to use Rose to unlock Lumina. Um, so it's kind of being sunset if you don't get it done this season, you know. Um, so it's interesting. I'm wondering what they're gonna do with those kinds of exotics because
Yeah, you're right. A lot of exotics pair like the Mida multi tool and the
Mhm.
mini multi tool.
and they've never really done this before, where like an exotic is unobtainable. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
they've done it with
Oof.
like certain legendaries where they're tied to that season or something like that. But even
Yeah, like we
now,
have with Felwinters.
like I don't have Devil's Ruin, but I can get the exotic Cipher and I can go get Devil's Ruin. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that to me, I think is going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I know Kaz in our clan is definitely going to be very upset if his Sturm gets locked away. Um, what about you, Merce? What's your take on weapons going away and no longer being usable?
Um, I understand it from outside looking in, you know, just how I know certain things work. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, if they do continue with this game as they want to, at some point they'll come back. Uh, Outside of that, it's kind of cool in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, doesn't affect me too much because I'm a filthy casual. So
Also, I mean, we're talking about them coming back. As we've already seen, Beloved is definitely coming back in the form of Adored. You know, it's going to be a little bit different from before, but it is basically the Beloved once again. And people are already upset with like recycling exotics and whatnot. Now they're recycling legendaries. Next, they're going to start recycling blues.
Right.
they're gonna recycle everything, and it's a business. That's what they're gonna
Yeah,
do.
it's money. Money makes the world go around for sure.
Yeah.
Here's some new content, guys. You know, never seen before. New
I
content.
get the
Crazy.
I get the reskin debate. Um,
Which I just
you
want to
want
say,
new.
I like Adored's look more than Beloved. Like, that
Oh, for
scarf
sure,
does a
for
lot
sure.
for me.
Yeah. Aesthetically pleased. It's very aesthetically pleased.
Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought.
You had
That
it,
I
and then you lost
did
it,
have
and
it.
it's gone now. It'll never return.
Oh yeah, I get the whole debate with the reskins. Like we have plenty of weapons in D1 that you can still bring forward, like the longbow synthesis and stuff like that. But we have other snipers, like Praetor's Revenge, for instance. You can bring that back.
Hmm.
You can bring like there's a plenty of other weapons that besides the beloved type archetype looking one to bring back. You know,
Right.
that's the biggest thing I think for people that it's not so much for reskins. It's just the same one reskin is what people are mad about. It's the same looking gun over and over. Like, give me a
Right.
different style of it.
Right. Like,
I
the
do like
Beloved
how they
supposedly
do.
is going to be a longer range scope,
Yeah,
and other, like, slight changes to it, to where now
and
it
I do
will
like
feel
how
like
they're
a different
doing
gun.
the pinnacle or the for the ornaments, I do like how they're doing it to specifically what you want to play instead of
Mhm.
making forcing you to play certain things. So if you are a strictly like Gambit player, you can get that ornament for Gambit and you can rock it without having to worry about going to Crucible to get it. You know,
Right.
I think that's big change for people that have been wanting for a long time. Especially me for PvP. I want ways to get cool stuff like that without having to go into other game modes. You know, if I don't
Mhm.
have to, and that's big on me. That I enjoy that change.
It
So
being someone that has like I played D2 day one of its release. I played D1 all the way up until Rise of Iron. It's interesting because it's almost the opposite of the argument that people had whenever D2 first launched and their vaults were emptied. Because everyone's like,
oh yeah,
but I
they
want
wanted the
my
old gun.
Thorn. I want my
Yeah,
Thorn. I want it. And then Thorn re-released, and people are like, well, it's just another D1 gun in D2 that I have to re-go and get. It's like,
yeah.
do you wanted this, yes? um, yeah. Okay.
That's the problem with the Destiny community though. They were very hard to please. Very hard to please. And
Expecting
Bungie,
people to be consistent is a it's a high expectation.
yeah, and Bungie for sure is trying. They can't please everyone,
Right.
and they try to. But I think they definitely cater more to their PvP side or the PvE side, and it makes sense because that's the largest player base they have
Mhm.
right now is the PvE side. So it makes sense why they're not focusing on the PvP. Um, saddens me, but it's understandable from a business standpoint. But as a player, it's it's just it feels wrong as a company, especially Bungie, with someone as big a AAA company like that. You know.
Right. Um. Okay. Let's move on to our next topic. Which I'm gonna definitely be speaking last here because everyone knows what my gun of choice I'm gonna talk about is. But let's talk about underrated weapons. What's one weapon that you don't see a lot of that you think people are just sleeping on? It's actually like a really solid gun that people should be using more.
The arsenic bite.
Oh.
Yeah. So with the changes coming to 110s, hot swapping is going to be. I think hot swapping is going to be the new meta. So what hot swapping is basically you're using a high impact weapon to get the guy down to one hit, and then
Uh-huh.
you're switching immediately to your primary and follow up and gets an easy kill. And that's what hot swapping is. And that's what most people do with like Le Monarch or with a what's the other
Yeah, I
one?
see that a
Wishing.
lot with bows.
Yeah, and with these changes to 110s, I think it's going to be even more prevalent and even more powerful now because 110s haven't been viable in such a long time, and they're so good weapons. But
Okay, so
that's my underrated weapon. It's the arsenic bite.
Is that one?
that's
Is that
good.
one that's getting vaulted, or is it?
Unfortunately, yes. So you have to go for something like the Whispering Slab that came out with the this new expansion.
Mhm.
What's the other one? Let me see. I have it in my vault. Let me open up Dim.
There's also the one from the raid, I believe, is sticking around, right?
Which you'd
The
know that one
king,
better than I
king
do
something.
because I don't know the raid weapons very well. Are the raid weapons getting sunsetted though? Like
Not the ones
the
from
Guardian of
last. Not the
so
ones
like
from
Guardian
last
of
Wizard
Salvation in
Garden.
them? Okay, so like the Guardian of Salvation pulses and the sniper rifles are still gonna be viable.
Right. Those are going all
Huh.
the way up to 1360.
Okay, that's not too bad.
What about you, Merc? What's a weapon? I mean, you haven't been playing all that long. What's
No,
a
no, I
weapon?
have an answer. I have an
Oh,
answer.
oh, all
All
right,
right.
all right.
Interesting,
So,
interesting.
so Deads was good, right? Here's the one that really is underrated. Gnawing Hunger. I swear to God, I don't see it enough. Just ARs in general, just need to be played more.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
it.
sure. Especially Suros, man. Suros don't get enough love.
Now you play on console. Is that true for console? Because on PC, that's everywhere.
Oh, you're on console, Merc? I didn't know that.
Yes, I'm on
I
console.
don't, I
So
don't know
yeah,
if it was a
so I
joke or.
yeah, console has a completely different meta than PC for sure. Yeah.
I'm not too in tune with the meta. I'm still I'm still playing around with it, so I don't know for sure. Uh, but you know, I hear the memes. I just wanted to let one out.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But is there a weapon that you've been like kind of like enjoying using, but you don't see other people use it as much, or are you too new to really like have it like?
I'm too new to have a preferred weapon.
Uh,
I just got the gnawing hunger, and I've just been using it, and I like it. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's understandable. Oh, the Seventh Seraph shotgun is very, very underrated.
I rated it actually lower than where it's being rated. But anyways, we're gonna move.
Whoa.
My pick, of course, is the Lumina hand cannon. Now,
Of course.
everyone talks about how Rose is good, but Rose is just Lumina without the damage dealing perk. It's just a
So
fact.
what makes Lumina underrated to you? That like what what do
So
people need to know about Lumina? That they
the
should be
reason
using?
why
Should they be
Lumina
using
gets
it?
underrated to other 110 or 150s is its damage buff perk requires you to also give it to another player. It's very other player oriented, but you still get the damage buff. So I don't like people don't realize that if you're playing with a good team
Mm-hmm.
basically Lumina lets you snowball like super easily. You just win one engagement, you buff you and another teammate. If you have the Callus, you can buff two other teammates, and then you just go
Ooh.
in on the other team. Everyone has kill clip. You get kill clip,
And
you get kill clip, everyone gets kill clip.
and how long does this buff last?
It's 10 seconds from buff, but you can hold on to the rounds for as long as you want.
Oh, so you can
Without
go
dying.
like halfway across the map to find your teammate to
Right.
give the buff. Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's
so
I'm sending a quick email to Bungie to nerf the gun. So
oh, cool. Yeah.
yeah. No healing around here, man. This isn't Final Fantasy. What do you think this
I
is?
see Occurred Redemption in the chat. I do not know what that is. Does that anyone remember that? That's the raid bow?
Which one?
Occurred Redemption.
Yes,
I
that's
know
what
it can
it
get
is.
some good stats, like some good rolls on it. You get like Archer's Tempo Vorpal, I believe is one that you can get on it. I've only gotten trashed though. I've gotten like firmly planted like every time. But I think that one as a good bow that's not being sunset to go with like what you were saying.
The hot swapping, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this one much more so somebody that these next two are really for dead. The current state of PvP and PvE to a PvPer. We
Okay,
can hit
which
those
one do you want to
topics.
go first?
Which one do you
want
which one
first?
do you feel stronger about, and we'll hit the other one.
Oh, that's a tough one. Which one do I feel stronger about?
Yeah, whatever one you got more to say on, we'll save, and we'll hit the smaller one first.
Let's save the state of PvP for last. So the PvE to a PvP centric player in Destiny 2 compared to Destiny 1 is very, very daunting. Because in D1 it was the raids were simplified, you know. They had some mechanics that were, you know, a little tricky to get used to, but not, you know, entirely like big brain 5,000 IQ plays kind of things, you know. And
So-
especially someone who
So you're saying the
what is it?
mechanics are a little bit much to just go into and like do
Yeah,
the
just-
first time?
yeah, just to go into and just, you know, for someone that's trying to like have fun and enjoy the raids and, you know, have fun with friends, I think that's a little daunting. Like if you guys would come to me and say, hey, do you want to come do this raid right now? I'd tell you no, because I wouldn't want to make myself look like a fool when you guys are, you know, because it's something like that. Also the fact that LFGing and D2 for some reason got way harder. A lot
Yeah,
of
it
people, I
definitely
guess,
did there. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just because you know, since D1, everyone has their group of friends, you know, already and stuff like that. So it's harder to find that, you know, good people that'll let you in without ridiculous requirements. That's a big thing. A lot of the people that are asking for like 50,000 kills, like 20,000 raid clears, stuff like that, you know, and that's daunting to me because I don't get enough light level as a PvP player. My max light level per season is probably like I'd say half of the hard cap is
Mhm.
what I get to. So I'm always going to be at a disadvantage when I try to do any kind of PvE stuff.
Well,
And
that's definitely chasing this next
oh yes,
expansion.
so there's that, and just the weapons too. So a lot of these raids require weapons from the other raids, you know. So like
Mhm.
you need Izanagi's to go do this other raid to make sure it gets done fast or to make sure it gets done correctly. And
Right.
that's the biggest thing. Like I don't have time to go get those weapons, or I don't really know how to get said weapons. And the fact that everyone's wanting those only, it feels like a like gatekeeping almost. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the Destiny 2 PvE when it comes to new people.
I feel that. I also think the pendulum kind of goes the other way, though. There's definitely like PvP content can be daunting to a PvEer. Somebody that only does that
Oh, oh,
because
most definitely.
people in PvP they be sweating right now.
Oh, I
And
sweat every game, and I
if you're wanting, say, like Mountaintop to have an easier time solo flossing the prophecy dungeon, good luck, man. You gotta get good at PvP first.
you gotta get it at PvP. Then you gotta get good at triple grenade
Yeah,
launches. Then you gotta then you gotta get the heavy for the grenade launches.
but
You know,
that's good though. That's the rewards for PvP is being good at that stuff gets you this stuff that makes other content a little bit easier. Um,
right.
and we'll talk about Mountaintop a little bit later in the show. Okay.
I think Pinnacles we should talk about as a whole, just in there, like
Oh,
Pinnacle.
that's gonna be a show itself. I'm thinking next
Yeah,
week we're gonna divide it between cheaters and pinnacles. I think.
yeah. So yeah, those are really the biggest things for me that why I don't like going to PvE. Uh, so like the most PvE that I will do is just the things that show up on the map for Power 4 and Pinnacles that I can do by myself.
Hmm.
That's the most PvE that I'll do. Like I'll go and do the 3 weekly nightfalls with the same burn. I'll go do Gambit. I'll go do my gunsmith bounties.
And I
You know,
see
have some.
Goodman in the chat saying he knows we have a clan raid night, right? Well, what we're talking about more is more like the pinnacle level stuff, not stuff that we out level and everything. He's talking about like day one, like early into the raid being released,
Yeah.
doing the raid
So
then
so say
when
so
it's
say with
relevant.
this. Yeah. So say this new expansion coming up, right? Uh, everyone's all the big PvEers are going to be doing it like the first 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
But after that, everyone's going to be only asking for people that have clears, you know. So it's
Right.
going to be like another month before they're going to let anyone without any clears in, because they're gonna only want people who know how to do it, who know the clears, and they're not going to want to teach people because they're going to want to get it done fast. So that's a big thing too. Like
Yeah. Uh. Okay. So I think that pretty well sums up. That's about where I thought you stood on it. It makes a lot of
yeah,
sense because a lot of like PvPers tend to do things like solo. Um.
yeah.
And yeah,
I
they
think that was the biggest draw to me for I think that's what drew me to PvP was that
mm,
I could play by myself and I could see the uh how would I explain it? The my my efforts being put in is being rewarded, you know?
right.
And I don't have to worry about someone else putting in outfit
You
and
don't have to
I'm
worry
not getting
about
rewarded.
RNG loot
Yeah.
drops to make sure you have the right like perks to make you more viable in
Right.
the raid.
It's just my gun skill is what gets me going, you know? And
Right.
that's what I like about it.
Okay.
So
So current state of PvP. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about the cheaters right now.
the current state,
But that's a
I
big
think
part of it.
yeah, no, I can go with just weapons. So weapons right now is auto rifles are overused.
Mm.
Um, they're not
Gasp.
they're not overpowered. They're just overused right now. I think they need either a ammo nerf or a slight damage reduction, and they'll be right in line. Like they don't have to nerf them into the ground. That's Bungie's biggest problem with PvP is over nerfing guns,
Yeah.
and,
Like
that
last word.
yeah, and that's what causes giant shifts with to stuff like mountaintop becoming more prevalent. So they uh they nerfed the backup plans on air intel, which was definitely needed. But with that said, mountaintop became out more prevalent because before if you had an air intel or backup plans and you saw a mountaintop guy coming at you, you could quickly switch and you'd be either able to A, trade or B, outgun him and still live. But now you can't. You have no fight against stuff
Right.
like that.
There's nothing that equals Mountaintop's range to kill potential.
Right, and that's a big thing. A lot of the guns that are very viable, they make them not viable anymore, just because a few good people know how to abuse them.
Hmm.
And so then they make the ease of use guns, I should say, overpowered, and then that's all you see anyone uses, and then that's when you get people with like 20,000 kills on a gnawing hunger. That's it's a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But besides the auto rifle spam, I like PvP. Definitely super. The super time is a little much for a lot of super. Like roaming supers need to be brought down a little bit.
That's what I was
Because
about to swap topic to, was how you feel
yeah,
about supers.
yeah, roaming supers are definitely way too strong. I don't mind perks that make it last longer, like your sunspot, because it's off trade with other perks that.
Mhm.
You're giving up something for a bit of longer super, which that's fine. But a spectral blade that pops shouldn't be able to go around the map twice and kill the team twice, and then the super's gone. That's a little much to me.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if you're good with Spectral Blade, you can pop it on one side of the map, go all the way to the other,
Oh, yeah.
and then back about halfway, like,
Oh,
and before it wears
yeah.
off. And Dawn Blade's
It's
worse.
Dom Blade's even worse.
Yeah.
But
Th-
that's just I think that's more so mobility wise
mm,
that needs to be looked at. Mobility in Destiny is the biggest thing that draws people in, but it's also the biggest deterrent for people. Uh, because so the higher skill gap you get, the more mobility like people can do, and like the crazier movements they can do. Uh,
which is
and then
why, sorry.
you add that onto supers, and it's just you're a unstoppable killing machine, man. So I
Yeah.
definitely think that needs to be brought down online. I
By the
don't
way,
want
Merc,
to.
if you have any like comments you want to add in,
No,
feel free
I was
to
just
add
Yeah.
gonna
that.
say it's kind of crazy dying to a super, respawning, and then dying to the same guy.
Yeah, like
Oh yeah,
yesterday
yeah.
yesterday we were
And
playing
you spawn on
control,
the
and
other side of the map. How is this possible? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
yeah, like that feels like that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And then for the casual player, like say Merc, for that to happen one game, like you're not gonna go back and be like, no, I want to play another game because you know I want to see if that happens again. Like, no, you get killed by someone in a super and you spawn and get killed again. You're not gonna want to go and play another game
And
of control.
I went right back to PvE after.
Exactly, like see, like that, and stuff like that is why the PvP player base is so low because it's just not uh and it's enjoyable, but only for like the sweats and top tiers, or if you're really just memeing around.
right. To me,
And
supers should be like heavy is in PvP, where it's like I'm not too good at the game, but I can get some kills if I like use this.
yeah,
But as it is, like what super is if you're good at the game, this is your instant win button.
right,
And there's a super right there. Uh, it's also like mobility in this game is actually why any form of a mobility increasing exotic is the top tier ones. Like you don't see
yes,
like it's Dune Marchers, Transversive Steps, Stompies. Anything else, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, um, unless you're playing like a very specific kind of niche, like
yeah. If you're doing something like a synthesep build, where you're just slamming
right,
every 30 seconds,
or like a hand cannon Lucky Pants build or something like
yeah.
that.
And those are like exactly like I said, they're very niche. Like
Yeah,
no one's no
it
one's
it's not
no
your
one
it's
wants
not your hardcore setup. It's
right. Because especially with stuff like say child and comp, you're not gonna purposely put yourself at a disadvantage in a high stake game like that with rewards that are actually worth it.
Mhm.
So I see why the mobility stuff is very prevalent. I just think they need to, maybe a, rework, say, uh, the mechanics of the game, like, say, child and comp. You're not gonna purposely put yourself at a disadvantage in a high stake game like that with rewards that are actually worth it. So I see why the mobility stuff is very prevalent. I just think they need to, maybe a, rework, say, I don't even know what they would rework on that, to be honest with you, to make it viable, because there's just so much that would go into it.
Right.
Just
Honestly, I think it's fine, but the mobility needs to be equal. As it
Yeah.
is, depending on the like setups, hunters are the worst for mobility. They can't move very fast, but they're good on jumping, so I think that's fine. But where I think it is they need to have like Icarus stash on Warlock is so fucking overpowered.
Yeah.
They specifically went to Titans and were like, Titan skating's too much. We have to remove
and
that.
and
they left it
completely removed
on Warlocks, who can do it easier.
And yeah,
And
so yeah, they took away our Twilight Garrison,
Right.
But they gave Warlocks basically Twilight Garrison.
so it
It's just
it has to be equal is the
Yeah.
thing.
I feel like if they gave Titans Twilight Garrisons and put I don't even know what the hunters would need, but definitely give Titans their Twilight Garrison back, and you'll see an uptick in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Right. No, I like we'll move on, but as a Titan player, always been a Titan player, stop taking things away from Titan. Like Bottom Tree
I think
Bottom Tree Striker was very good. It lasted a long time for Titan. So gotta remove that, but leave Spectral Blades and Dawn Blade on the other two
definitely
classes.
Titans often do get the and bad in the stick most of the time,
Right.
for sure.
I mean, some stuff I understand. OEM,
Yeah, like
a little bit too
yeah,
much.
definitely. Yeah,
But
yeah, you get a free overshield, aim hacks, and everything. Yeah, that's understandable why they would want to switch that.
but Titan skating, that's
that's
the
a
same
spectral-
as Icarus dashing. Like it's our mobility.
Yeah, true.
Anyways, we'll move on. Out of PvP.
What about what kind of new perks? If you guys could like design new perks, what would you guys want to see in the game? Like, what would
a
you
new
want to see
perk.
perk wise in the game? Like, if you could make any perk, like,
That's not
what would
a
you want?
that's not a reload or
not-
damage dealing perk.
Yeah, or even if like just make it interesting though. Like, make it interesting.
So I would actually want to see a perk that you can convert. I'm trying to think of how I'd phrase it. Like I see it in my head, but it would definitely have to be an exotic that you can convert all your abilities into supercharge or vice versa.
Like the Traveler's okay.
Like the Traveler's
that.
Chosen.
Yeah,
but,
I like that.
But like you expend all your supercharge, get all your abilities refreshed, or you expend
Or you
all
get
your
double,
abilities and you get like half your
Yeah.
super.
So because if you give up your whole super, like like they did in D1 with the what was that artifact that they gave us?
Yeah. That's exactly it. I want that artifact, but as like an exotic armor piece or something.
I like that.
Give bows rapid hit fire after a kill like Hanzo.
Yes.
I mean that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I would also like to see maybe like ricochet rounds on a bow.
I like to see ricochet rounds on a bow. That'd be nice. I think you could hit some nutty plays with that.
What about you, Merc? What's
Is
a
there
perk for you?
a perk to where after you kill an enemy you get like ammo? Or
Yeah.
I know like special and stuff, but just like
Like there's triple tap where you get like a bullet back. where you
There's
can, like-
subsistence where it partially reloads your gun for you. There's quite a few perks that do that. That
can't. The only perks I have in my head, because I'm not that knowledgeable in like what's in the game, it's like joke perks, like fucking turn your game into Halo
Oh,
if you had this
yeah.
or had it or something.
I mean I was saying this last week. Totally just slipped my mind. I want a shotgun that has a knockback perk, like tractor cannon, but it doesn't one shot. It just pushes the enemy away.
just like get away from me. Just like a shoe fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the enemy coming at you and just push. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be funny. You just see a running shotgun person and you just push him away and then.
Yeah, or
You can ledge people.
Yeah.
you can like slam people into walls. Yeah. I have something in my throat that is not going away.
Is that correct?
Ugh. But it's basically like how tractor cannon worked in year one, where it didn't often kill people, but it pushed them into a wall and they die, or push them off a cliff.
Right.
That to me hilarious. We need more like trolley weapons.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like Sweet Business. That's troll weapon right
It
there.
is, but also it's kind of good.
Well, it's good right now just because of the auto rifle buffs they put to it.
That's
Before
true.
it was a meme. If you saw anyone using an fucking Sweet Business, you would just laugh at them.
Grapple gun? A grapple gun. Yeah, a gun that
Oh,
you
yeah.
grab people and pull them to you.
Yeah. That'd be. Yeah, I like that.
Just more like party guns, because right now every gun is shoot kill, you know?
Right.
Okay, speaking of guns, we are going to discuss the new one that just came out, the Traveler's Chosen. I've heard, I've unlocked
What do you
this
think
gun.
about the quest?
The quest is
what do you think
great.
about the quest?
Especially like the lore and stuff of like Sloane gonna just go and like punch the pyramid to death.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought they did it very well. Story wise, they really fleshed it out very well. Made you really care about the character. Made you care about getting the gun. And not very many quests that they put out has really made me feel that way. You know.
I will say this though, the gun sucks.
Oh yeah.
And it's ugly, especially the ornaments.
It's very niche. Like,
Okay,
it's
I
very...
like the look. Okay, we're gonna have to fight, Coda.
You like the regular look, or you like the look with the ornament?
Yeah, I can see liking the regular look. I just don't.
Yeah.
But
the ornament looks like a water gun. Like it's a water pistol, bro.
Destiny has a problem with accidentally making water guns.
Yeah. But I like the idea of it, definitely.
Oh yeah. It's got
just not on a sidearm.
Yeah, it's got a great perk, but sidearms right now are in a very rough spot because their effective range is in between hand cannons and shotguns. Really, it's closer to shotgun SMG range. And I mean, it doesn't one tap or put out as much bullets as those weapons.
As say a Fool's Remedy or something. No.
Right.
If you're gonna waste an exotic slot, I definitely wouldn't waste it on Trevor. There's so many better options.
I mean, but if you're good with a sidearm like Kaz is, definitely you can make it work for some really insane builds, constant like supers and stuff like that. But you gotta get it worked out right.
You gotta sweat
yeah.
hard.
That, or if you're doing like a niche build like Frostbolt does with like charger lights kind of stuff. Like those are very like niche moments when it's actually gonna be viable to use. Because who's really that good with sidearms, you know?
Yeah. Now PvE it definitely does stuff. PvE you can kill like 6 thrall no problem. Get your grenade back and just start tearing into enemies. Like we were still kind of like in PvP talk there, but PvE definitely this is a great gun.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't know. What are you hoping to see on the PvE side with this new expansion?
More stuff like Ruinous Effigy, Traveler's Chosen, like because these are very unique, very good exotics.
Oh yeah. How do you feel about Ruinous Effigy? I still have to unlock it. I'm like the last.
Funnest time I've had using an exotic gun in this game.
I will say from the people who have used it, and I played with like say like public events, those orbs and just slam dunking on some enemies is pretty fun. It's quite enjoyable.
I don't think it's use it in a Petra's run of The Last Wish, but who would ever do that?
Right. So it's for the memes. You're saying it's another one of those memes.
It's definitely, and like I said, which probably is why I like it, because that's the kind of guns I want them to make, is more unique, more fun guns, and it definitely satisfies that. Have you unlocked it yet, Mercenary?
Nope. I'll try later.
What else came out? Ruinous Effigy.
Those were
We
the
had
2 seasonal. Wither Horde.
we had the Witherhoard. How do you feel about Witherhoard? I see that one a lot. It's how's that in PvE?
In PvE, it's great. You can get some very high, like, quick DPS builds. Like,
Mm.
I don't think it's good for like sustained fights, like against like a Riven if you were doing Riven legitly or something like that. But for your typical strike, prophecy dungeon, it does amazing in those. Especially if you're on Warlock, there's a great build you can do for that. And then there's PvP.
Where we see it literally like almost every game. I'll see like 30 fucking
Is that-
Witherhoard shots on the ground, and it's kind of nutty.
Is that a control point I see?
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely viable in PvP because of how big the blast radius is. So it's definitely a crowd control weapon.
Right.
But it also goes back to it's feeding into the auto rifle problem though.
Yeah.
It's another hot. So that's another version of hot swapping basically with say mountaintop auto rifle or with a hold auto rifle. That's just another form of hot swapping, and it's not healthy for the game. I think.
Now, Mercenary, you must have this one. It's literally
Yeah.
level 1 on the season
Yeah,
pass.
yeah, so you gotta have. a
Okay,
Witherhoard.
so here's the thing, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. Stay with me here.
Gotcha.
I'm here.
I do not have the season pass yet.
Yeah, the
Tonight.
season's almost over, man.
You had like 190 days to get the pass before, bro.
I got money. I got money now.
All right. Well, next week, Mercenary will be on here to let us know what he thinks of Witherhoard.
It's the greatest gun ever. Oh my god.
This is my first
You know,
exotic. I will
you
say
know what?
Witherhoard, I think, is compared to the last like few seasons, season pass weapon. It's an I don't know if it's as good as those. 'Cause
It's
we're
like
talk-
the Bastion and stuff. Yeah.
Well, no, Bastion would be more
Oh,
equivalent
Dev-
to our Ruinous.
Devil.
I'm talking about like Tommy's throwing knife, I believe, was one, or
Like Tommy's matchbook. You mean? Yeah,
yeah.
Tommy's matchbook. Speaking of that, that was such a cool concept for a weapon.
oh yeah.
It fell
I mean,
flat.
it
fell flat on its
it's
face.
a one that exists already in D1, but
Yeah. But like, oh, that's a nice snipe. It's just not. You're putting yourself at that low of a health, and in any, it's not viable in PvE, you know.
Mhm.
And that's what it was made for. Because if you're gonna have yourself that low, you're gonna be like one tap by a thrall, or one tap by a hive knight with
Yeah.
random aimbot lock on, you know. So it's just
and now I'm thinking about
They-
it. I mean, I wasn't playing the season it came out. I don't know how many people were, but it's also one that I don't see, even though they have they changed ARs. It's still not one that like gets used.
right.
That could just be because Gnawing Hunger is just that much better.
I think that's just because of the perk on it, where it's putting you, it's hurting at the same time. So in PvP, you don't want to have
Hmm.
said damage already on you. You know,
Right.
I could see it working in PvE if you have like maybe a well or a bubble, but like that's again, they're making these exotics, but they're not making them like they feel. The exotics they're making feel like legendaries, you know? They don't feel exotic.
Yeah, that's why I think Ruinous Effigy is such a breath of fresh air because it is.
Yeah, because it actually
unique.
feels like an exotic.
All right. So next topic: changes are coming to Mountaintop and 110 hand cannons, which the Mountaintop changes were to
I
be
actually
expected.
didn't hear about them.
So we don't know the exact details.
Okay.
We'll hear about those soon. But they did mention Mountaintops being tweaked, and the 110 hand cannons are also going to be getting a buff in the expansion.
So I can tell you my thoughts on nerfing or tweaking mountaintop. Sorry.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm interested to hear what because I have an idea for one that will kind of help kill it, But
I think just take out the how straight it fires. Just add the curve like every other grenade launcher, and I think it's okay. Because I think that's the biggest problem with mountaintop. It's just it shoots in a straight line so fast.
mhm.
You have no control over it. But if you add that curve to it, you actually have to aim the weapon. And I wouldn't feel bad dying by a mountaintop if I knew the guy had to aim it. Because
Right.
as it is right now, it's just point, shoot, and you're dead. Because how the blast radius and how much damage, you know.
So they mentioned they're going to tune it down but not kill it. Which what you're saying kind of is in that vein.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Shank just mentioned in the chat one of them. There are 3 changes I would make. One, take all these old pinnacles that people worked really hard to
Make them exotics.
make them exotics.
Yeah.
You just gotta then like if you had already unlocked it before, you get it the exotic version for free. Cause then it makes it to where it's not like the go-to in PvE, cause like you're not gonna pick a mountaintop over Xenophage or something like that.
Right.
But it's also it changes the dynamic for PvE or PvP also. But the changes I actually want to see is change to handling while airborne. Make it to where like it takes a little bit longer to swap if you are in the air or similar circumstances. Just really reduce the handling all around, and or well, make it to where you have to hit a direct shot in order for it to do any viable damage. So if you are good with actually hitting targets with it, like you use it in PvE, and you hit something or you hit something directly in PvP, yeah, you're gonna get the same amount of benefit as what you get now.
Right.
But no splash damage.
Okay. So
Because
it's a not a almost like a precision, but not a precision.
right, like that's how I think it should be, is a precision frame grenade
Yeah.
launcher. But it's so rewarding for if you miss, you just go, well, gnawing hunger.
Right.
You know?
Right. So do you think? Why do you think they're making these? Do you think they're making these changes because of PVE or because of PvP?
I think a little bit of both.
strong. It's very strong in PVE. Like it's all you use in high end gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Or in high end activities.
Well, it's not all you
Just-
use. There's plenty of other stuff that's viable in PvE, but I think it's because it's so viable in both. It's upper echelon in both.
Right.
Like
It-
it was a kind of like a meme that I saw a video that was like how to do, garden war God what is it? One of the fucking nightfalls. But it's how to do this nightfall without any exotics. And the dude just showed mountaintop. He's like, this gun pretty much makes it to where
yeah. Because I mean, because people use it all the time for like solo pits and stuff like that. So do you think they want to take stuff like that? Like they don't want people to. Oh, I just said die by with a horde. Like you think they want to take away from people?
No,
Like
I mean, there's a difference from adjusting something to taking it away.
Right.
I think even with the changes we mentioned, it would still be a viable pick for PvE and PvP. It just wouldn't be the pick. Because yeah, if you're not running an exotic and you're not running mountaintop, things become difficult because it's just that good. It's a crutch people have.
So what I'm hearing is buff the gun. Okay.
Oh, most
gotcha.
definitely.
Or make it to where you can't put quick access sling on it. Honestly,
Yeah. That could do it too.
because that's part of the thing is a buff to the handling there.
What about what are other strong PvE PvP weapon that you think?
I mean, similar
Revoker.
stuff. I think
I mean, Revoker,
happens
guess
to
Revoker,
Revoker.
but that's
Yeah,
getting sunsetted though.
right. But we're talking about like, just because something's being sunset doesn't mean it's not going to be like, well.
So
used.
yeah, so I had this conversation in Haley's chat that you can still use Revoker in high end PvP.
Yeah.
in trials and stuff, because it's a one-tap headshot,
Right.
no matter what. No
I
matter
mean,
what light level you are.
Well, that depends. There will eventually be a light level difference where you are not one tapping, and that's where I think they're trying to like. I feel bad for what I just did. That's where I think they're trying to get around.
This kid's trying his heart out.
You think falling guillotine is? I think falling guillotine is fine. Because if they want a boss that you can't use it on, they just make that boss too big, or they put them on something that hurts to stand on. You know, there's a lot of bosses that's just stand still, shoot. I think having the ability to like play around a sword, like Prophecy Dungeon, right? You can sword that boss, but it's hard. It's much more viable to use other means to kill him, safely.
Well, you don't even have to just use falling guillotine. You can still use temporal hurt is still viable though. With if you get the right, you get vocal weapon, relentless strike, and so something else, and it's just as good as
I don't
falling
see
guillotine.
swords being good ever
No,
a problem
I
because you
like
can just
swords
balance
being
the
good,
fight
though.
around that.
I like swords being good. Why are you
Yeah.
using controller weight?
Now 110 hand cannons getting buffed. We kind of mentioned this earlier with your pick for an underrated weapon being a bow.
So 110s.
What do you think of that? Yeah.
I'm just glad another archetype of hand cannons are gonna be viable besides the 150s. They definitely messed up with the range nerf on the 140s.
The 140s, yeah.
Yeah, because that's they definitely messed up with the range nerf because now all anyone uses is 150s because what's the point of using a 140 when they both fire the same range, they both do the same damage, they both have the same TTK, but one shoots just a tad bit faster. Why would you not use the one that shoots a tad bit faster, right?
Right. But 110s, they're much slower, but way more damaging. I will say, typically in PvE, I personally like 110s more than 150s because of that damage. It's either 110s or 180s to me are the like PvE hand cannons to go for. And so any buff they make to that archetype, even more so, will make them like the one to use for PvE. Because in the end of the day, any gun one-shots a dragon to the head. But
right.
things that don't get one shot to the head, you want something that does more damage.
Right.
But I'm interested to see what they do with that. I'm hoping this means because also Hawkmoon is coming back, and that's a 140. Yeah. So if they're looking at 110s, which came out of nowhere, like I expected mountaintop changes.
I was expecting 140s for sure. Before 110s,
right?
Like 110s, everyone was just like, "Excuse me, like who was asking for this? Like we accept it, but like."
But now, like, what they're gonna bring Hawkmoon back, and it's gonna be in the facto worst hand cannon archetype. Right. I mean, that might be how they balanced one in the chamber, or luck in the chamber.
That might be it. That might be why they're not doing 140s if they bring.
Merc, if you didn't play D1, how Hawkmoon works is it's.
Oh, I know.
Well, if anyone's watching and they don't
legend.
Know, it was actually my first exotic. There's a chance that I think it was 3 rounds in your magazine. There's a chance that one of those 3 that you fire then would be a double damage shot, I believe.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah.
So it was capable of 2-tapping. Now 110s cannot 2-tap, I think, as it stands right now.
Not without Rampage. Yeah, not
or
without Rampage.
140s, sorry.
No, 140s cannot 2-tap.
Right. But
even with
a damage, yeah.
Yeah, even with the damage, they can't 2-tap. 110s, however,
with
Rampage or Kill Clip, they can.
Right, but Hawkmoon was 140. So I'm interested to see if they do buff 140s, how they do it, and how that will play into Hawkmoon. Because if Hawkmoon comes back in its glory, I'm sorry, Lumina.
How could you? How could you do such a thing to you?
Lumina's a great second.
Oh my goodness, you did not. And the gun's not even out yet.
I know.
On it. Wow.
So unfaithful.
You're so unfaithful. I'm gonna go
You
tell
guys want to
Bungie.
hear a
I'm gonna go
joke?
tell Bungie to delete your. I'm gonna go tell Bungie to delete. Your dog.
Here's a joke. I've been playing Destiny 2 for a while now, or a while as in I don't know, a week. I've not gotten a single hand cannon.
What?
Really?
Not a single one.
Not a
Really?
single one.
Hey, what have you been getting? Auto rifles? Probably.
Auto rifles, scout rifles, everything but a hand cannon.
Interesting.
So I,
So
Well,
I'm
there's that.
surprised that they're actually making changes.
I don't know
to
if on console you want hand cannon as much as you want other stuff. Well, maybe last word.
No,
You definitely should get a last word.
yeah, on console, before I left console, the meta was definitely auto rifle. It was never if you were running a hand cannon, you were definitely a sweat, and you were putting yourself at a huge disadvantage.
Huh.
Um,
I'm interested. Once Mercenary plays a bit, getting him, and it looks like Goodman also plays on PS4, and
Mhm.
like hearing about the differences between
oh yeah.
PC and console, like all the nitty gritty details and stuff like that, I think would be very interesting. Because there's a lot of stuff like movement is completely
Move's
different.
big. Yeah, so when I moved over, I just recently figured out how to change my FOV,
Uh-huh.
and I've been playing 1,000 times better ever since I changed the FOV. It's such a better experience than on console. I feel like I can hit more shots better. Like I just feel overall better in my gameplay with the FOV being higher. You know.
Right. Yeah. So next
I
week
think
we'll get Aimer in here for our cheater talk, and then maybe Ace also for that. Who's that?
Ace for sure. Yeah.
Dakota, Shank.
Hey Shank. And then after that, I think because I'll give you a couple more weeks, Mercenary, to get used to the game on console, and we'll have you and Goodman come in here and talk to us about how good console is.
So I'm surprised that they're making changes to hand cannons. So because when they hand cannons have always been something that they never wanted to be top top
Yeah,
tier.
but they're the funnest to use.
True. They're the most rewarding to
Mhm.
use. What it is, because you have to land your shots with the hand, because the recoil control and all that kind of stuff, you have to put in the effort to land those shots. And when you actually land like with Rose, like when you land those crispy 3 shots, you just feel so good, and
Yeah.
it just makes you want to. It makes you want to keep using the gun. It makes you want to keep playing. You know.
Yep.
I agree. It has the highest skill reward
Yeah.
of any archetype, of any weapon type, I should say, not archetype.
Yeah. And
Like you definitely get a lot more out of an AR as it stands right now, but they're not as fun. You're just holding
it's
M1.
yeah, it's just ease of use. You know, that's the biggest problem with the Destiny community, is that they want to go for ease of use. With They want to be good players, but they want to use easy weapons, and
Mhm.
you can't get better by using easy weapons. You're not challenging yourself. You know, you're not getting that gun skill from using an auto rifle and holding down M1 on a lane. You know, because
Right.
you're not having to peek a lane. You're not having to go in and out of cover. You're not because all you have to do is stand still, hold down M1, and you can get like 3 kills. It's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
Uh,
Okay. So
So
now
We're
we have.
talking. Sorry. Good.
I was gonna say we have Ray Daddy here, so we can talk about some more PVE oriented content now. But go ahead and finish whatever you were gonna say, Shank.
Well, that's actually what I was going to talk about. Is that from your arguments about auto rifles versus hand cannons, you're speaking strictly from the PvE
Right.
standpoint.
That's why it's
From a
good to have.
PvE standpoint, if you're getting overwhelmed by, let's say, in a Grandmaster and orange bar thralls are attacking you,
Uh-huh.
you really don't want to be having to take the time to one shot each and every one of those thralls. You
right.
need to
You
be
don't want to
able.
have to line up your shots to. Yeah, I get that.
So
Um,
I think the biggest issue, and this might be another topic in and of itself, is should the PvE and PvP sandboxes
That's
be so
That-
tightly
that-
linked together?
That I
that's a
think
whole
is.
nother- that's-
I think that's
a
a
whole nother.
stream itself. Honestly.
Yeah, that's a whole
agree.
nother episode, dog. 'cause
That
holy
okay,
shit.
so now we know what the next 3 streams are gonna be
Yeah, that's a
about.
whole nother episode. Because
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get rid of that blue that had mobility and recovery max.
Okay. Before we move into PVEs, blues. How sick of them are you?
Oh my!
I love
auto
each and every
dismantle
one of them.
feature. They need to have an auto dismantle feature after you hit the soft cap because I have lost so many exotics in my postmasters because of blues.
Right. I
Like,
agree 100%. There's
yeah.
no reason for blues after. Let's say after you hit pinnacle power, blues should auto dismantle.
Oh yeah.
Or
Or at least give me the option.
there should at least be a toggle so that
Right.
blues can auto dismantle.
Or at least I don't pick them up.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with picking them up because you get them as rewards at the end of PvP matches,
Right.
at the end of strike matches. There's nothing you can do
everything
about,
rewards blues.
right, and if you
Yeah.
don't have room in your
And they-
inventory, which
And
I
they give you like
frequently
4
don't,
of them. Yeah.
yeah, which I frequently don't, it goes straight to your postmaster. I lost
And-
an exotic engram
And then it
just
goes
yesterday.
Yeah, it goes to your
Yeah.
postmaster where you store stuff you don't want to pick up right away. Yeah, no.
I think
that
one of our other
needs
clan
fixed.
leaders lost a bunch of ascendant shards the other day.
I'm so paranoid. I like purposefully make sure I'm dismantling everything. Like I'm not right now because I'm focused on the thing, and it's actually causing me a little bit of anxiety. Okay, so let's move on to raids. Current state of raiding. I want to know where you feel on that right now. Shank, it's the
I'm
top
excited.
tier PvE
I'm excited
content
to
is
go
raids.
into raids.
Raids overall, or a
Yep,
raid in particular?
Just how raids feel in D2 right now.
Raids feel stale because there is not either A, an incentive, or B, enough variety. By variety, I mean raids should be coming out every 6 months if you're not going to have a prestige mode that awards ascendant shards and weapons that do something specific in the raid.
Right, like even trials will give you one ascendant shard for completing. You don't get anything from a raid as far as that stuff goes, which is a little rough.
But I don't think that.
But you get armor and you get pinnacle armor.
So that wasn't the question, though. The question was where do I feel rating is?
Yeah, yeah.
A year from the drop of the last raid,
Mm-hmm.
after I've already hit pinnacle power.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't want to get my 18th pinnacle chest piece when the legendaries that drop out in the world drop at pinnacle power form.
Okay.
That there is really no incentive. We haven't been into Garden of Salvation in months at this point.
And you played D1, right, Shank?
Correct.
It was much different in D1, right?
Oh yeah.
Except for the year of the Taken King. Because when King's Fall came out, it was the bee's knees, and then hard mode came out. By the way, I'm a boomer.
Come on,
so.
game.
And then hard mode came out, so that prolonged how long that raid was good for. But then you remember we didn't get not Scourge of the Past, Wrath of the Machine. We didn't get Wrath of the Machine until the next year.
Right.
And a lot of people forget how bad that content drop was. And as far as just raiding, now there are other things to do with dungeons and seasonal content that they didn't have back then. But I would argue that as far as raiding goes, it feels the same, if not worse, just because there's nothing to aspire to in raiding right now.
Yeah, I just remember in D1, like, you got the raid specific loot drops. They didn't always drop. Sometimes you just got the like material from that particular raid. So, but in this you get a guaranteed piece of loot. Random rules makes it a little bit better, but you get a guaranteed piece of loot on every like encounter completion. Where like Vault of Glass was completely different. The like world's first Vault of Glass clear, they only got loot on one of the encounters. Like,
right, and I think that's way too far in the other direction.
I know, but I feel like that also
just
helps
as bad.
make the raid last longer. Like people remember the loot they get from that.
But it lasts longer because it's frustrating.
True.
That doesn't feel good
So
to not have any type of reward for going in and doing in-game content.
going into new in-game content, what would you like to see this new raid have? Like, what would make it last long in your eyes? For because they are yearly, so it has to last a full year.
So I think what I would like to see and what I expect to see are two different things. I would like to see prestige modes come back, or not prestige modes, but I would like contest modifier to be like a toggle, kind of like with the Grandmaster Nightfalls.
Uh-huh.
And if you do it on prestige mode, every encounter drops an Ascendant Shard. And for those who don't know, prestige mode locks you at 20 light below whatever the power for that particular raid is. So, say the raid is going to be, what is it, 1160?
Something like that,
Coming
I
up.
think. Yeah.
You would be locked at 1140, so everything hits you like a tank. So not only do you have to be executing the mechanics perfectly, but you also have to be smart about how you're dealing with ads.
Right, because you'll be taking more damage, you'll be dealing less damage.
Right. The other thing I think they need to do is improve the types of mods that come on the armor and weapons. I feel like they got it really well with the Taken, Hive, and Fallen mods, and then decided that Vex mods just wouldn't be a good idea, so we'll put on mods for tethers and mechanics specific to Garden that don't exist anywhere else in the entire raid.
Right.
Which makes them essentially useless. Except for in the raid. And some of them are nice for in the raid. But I don't know.
I'm just waiting
I
for an
think the biggest
exotic
thing-
that comes out and then uses those, you know? It's like if you this exotic tethers to you or something.
Right. Or standing near somebody using this exotic gives you a damage buff or something like
Right.
that. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, could you imagine if Divinity was like this? If you had Enhanced Relay Defender
yeah, that'd be amazing.
and Divinity acted as a relay?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because that's
no
how you
matter what
unlock it, is
content
by
you're doing-
relaying.
Right. No matter what type of content you're doing, if you have somebody with Divinity and you have somebody who's completed the raid, who has those mods, then you will be able to do additional damage on top of what you're doing. It's that kind of mixing and matching that I like.
Mhm.
So, from somebody who doesn't do as much PvE, what are your thoughts on what I said? Because I know I'm more of I want harder content more often. I know not everybody does that, and I know
Right.
it's harder on Bungie
So-
to create that type of content, but I think that's what gives you longevity.
Right.
Definitely is what you.
The problem with that is
look at that WoW. Look at WoW and Final Fantasy.
it's pretty
That's
much the
what-
opposite of what Dead said. It was like, PvE is so daunting. I wish it wasn't as daunting.
You're good though at PvP.
Okay. We're talking about PvE.
Oh, I heard.
I was saying-
PvP. My bad.
Yeah, we
My
were saying
bad.
the opposite. For somebody who's a PvP main,
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that to yourself, but from somebody who's a PvP main who doesn't do as much of the PvE content,
I can't hear you, Shanks.
I was saying from somebody who's a PvP main who doesn't do as much of the PvE content.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know exactly how much you do. I've seen you run stuff with us, so I know you do some.
I do.
What is your thought on
bare
things
minimum.
like contest modifiers and
I
additional
like 'em.
rewards for people who do the hardest content?
So basically that's your guys' trials, right? That's your guys'.
Yeah, it's the
yeah, and
pinnacle.
it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be challenging, but also rewarding at the end. You're supposed to be mad during it, but then you guys persevere through it, and then you guys get those sweet you get what? You get Ascendant Shard, you get Prisms, and you get what else would you do? A Grandmaster.
All the enhanced mods have an increased chance of dropping. All
Yeah,
the
so, like-
specific loot has a
You get exotics
chance
with
of
around
dropping.
60 stats.
I think that's good
Exactly.
though. Like that's what should be given for PvE. Because that's what they've been wanting since D1 though, is stuff like that. They've been wanting grandmaster kind of shit like that to challenge
Right.
themselves, and like, so I like contest modifiers. I like, like what they're doing right now with the grandmaster, the double rewards. I think that's really great. It gets more people into it. It gets new, like, I want to go into grandmaster. It gets newer people into stuff like that when they do it, when they, and
Yeah,
I think
I
it's good
feel
for the
like
game.
Nightfalls are in the best spot they've
Oh
ever
yeah,
been in
I
the
like
game.
doing nightfalls, like the ordeal and stuff. I'll do that. Like that's my PvE. I'll do that just for like the pinnacle, like for the pinnacle drop and stuff like that. Like I don't mind running strikes. Like some strikes I mind running, because some of them are a little longer than others. But that's a different story. But uh, like I think PvE as it is right now is in a okay place. I can't say much because I don't do enough PvE. But from outside looking in, I think it's in the best place it's been since D1.
So yeah. So are you hopeful, Shank, for this new raid tier that's coming out? Do you think it'll be like Last Wish, like Taken King levels, or is it gonna be more like lesser? Where are you thinking?
I'm thinking this will be on par with Taken King and Forsaken.
I'm hoping
Um,
so.
it seems like this is what Destiny 3 was supposed to be, and when they realized they didn't want to do a Destiny 3, they
Mm-hmm.
ported the assets into this game and started working on putting all that content into here. It
Hmm.
also needs to be with the sunsetting. I don't know if you guys talked about that already
We
before
Yeah.
I
did,
was able to
yep.
come on.
But
But with
yeah,
sunsetting entire planets and game modes and seasonal content, there needs to be a substantial amount of content that's coming with this patch
that's true.
or with this expansion, or people are going to feel like they were robbed,
Right.
regardless of whether they paid for it or not.
Right.
Um, that being said, that seems to, I mean, we're getting an entire new class. We haven't gotten that since Taken King.
Mm-hmm.
Subclass. Sorry.
With like huge lore implications just for its existence.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm glad that they're doing. Did you guys hear what they're doing with lore? They're making it audio, like all the old lore from the old
Oh, that's
maps and
cool.
stuff. They're consolidating it. They're putting it in its own tab, and then you can actually audio listen to it.
Thank God.
That's
I think, yeah,
kinda-
I think that's great. I've always wanted the lore to be in the game like that.
That reminds
The
me of
lore
the
is the biggest
codex
part of this
in
game.
Mass Effect, which is probably the only lore that I am super well versed in because it literally read it to me.
I think they need to add more like little stuff like that. Will keep the game, will keep the player base happy, and it will keep the game going along with
So my next question was going to be, where's everyone's hype levels for go? I got shit on. Where's everyone's hype levels for the new DLC that's coming out? Clearly Shanks is very high, putting it up there with the Taken King,
I give
and
it a 6 out of 10.
all right.
Just because
Merc,
I'm not hyped for stasis.
your
Um,
first expansion, being part of what's
I am default hype. First expansion. I'm ready for it. Yeah, really. It's not. It's like it would be weird if I wasn't hyped because it's just new content coming around when I just first started playing or restarted playing.
right. Mine, I'm at about a 6 to 7. I've definitely seen Bungie fuck up this kind of stuff. I would not put it past them to not, you know, put in enough content to make up for what they're taking away. But at the same time, they do surprise me with Forsaken level stuff. I'm thinking the next big expansion is actually going to be the next one, Witch Queen, because that's I mean, that's a bigger thing, I think, than who are we fighting? Ariamis, something like that.
I don't really know.
Aramis.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but that's not Savathun, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I think the fight against Savathun would have to be
feel
bigger.
like Aramis is a misdirect.
You think Aramis is Savathun or something
No.
similar?
No,
Like,
I don't
not
think
the-
everything's Savathun. I think we're looking at something more like Cade is going to end up being. I know everybody says it because they really want to see Cade back, but I've stuck by my guns that I think
Evil Cade?
Cade is
Ooh.
going to come back as not Cade
we are
6.
visiting the
not
Right.
Cade
deep,
6.
we're doing
Right.
the
Not Cade
deep
6,
stone
the
crypts,
Guardian
so-
that we know.
Right, the
Right,
mercenary
exactly.
Cade.
Cade 7, the mercenary.
Cade 7,
who-
yes.
Who was a known operative of Clovis Bray who went out on assassination missions. And from everything it sounds like, wasn't a particularly good person.
Right.
I'm not saying he's going to be the main antagonist. I still think Aramis is going to be like the big bad we fight at the end. But kind of like Aldrin was like the main driver of the story until you realize they were being manipulated by Riven.
Hmm.
Oh.
So-
I think I
Yeah.
think it's going to be something like that. I think there's going to be a more complex story they're telling that isn't just about the Fallen trying to get a new type of tech.
Because they've
That
done
means-
that. Yeah.
They've done that. They got Siva, and I mean that was cool. I think this time they're going to become Exo Fallen.
I can see that because that's basically what they did with Forsaken. Was they're like Aldrin's the main like antagonist for the story, and then you actually wrap it up in the raid by fighting Riven, who was the real boss.
Right.
But and like I can see that. My theory with Cade is he is also coming back. I don't know. He's probably not going to be voiced by the same voice actor. Because I think he's going to be voiced by a more Russian-sounding actor because he's going to merge. They're going to merge
Yeah.
his memory files with Rasputin.
Oh.
Rasputin is
I-
going into an exo body. There's lore indicating that Anna has a empty exo chassis and the like data unit containing Rasputin, but she doesn't have all of it. She doesn't have all of him. And in the original Destiny like storyline, Rasputin was an exo that we go to the moon to save. So I'm thinking we're gonna have an incomplete data set for Rasputin that we're gonna take into the raid, which is the Deepstone Crypt, and there's gonna be a data file there that like an exo memory file that like is important to the darkness because Cade does have a tie to the darkness.
Why are you using a last word on controller, bro?
And then they kind of like they're like, okay, he has this memories of the darkness. We'll give those to Rasputin. Put Rasputin in this exo body. You have Cade-6's memories from before he was a Guardian inside of Rasputin. Cade-7.
It'd be interesting. I'd like to see something like that. I just want to see more of Rasputin. I like him.
Mhm.
Ever since they did the Felwinter's lore, I want to see more Rasputin.
I truly and strongly hope that you are wrong because I feel like Cade 7 and Rasputin are both such amazing characters that they've done so well like establishing like motivations and backstories for that I would hate to see them say and now they did the fusion dance. They're Gotenks.
Ooh, an exotic.
You know what I
Ingrid.
mean? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
Like,
I get you
like,
on that.
Who's the dominant personality there?
I think
because-
it's gonna be Rasputin is the dominant personality, but like a part of him feels like Cade. You know, like it's gonna be Rasputin. It's gonna be Rasputin and Anna. Those are the two that like you interact with. But
Rasputin's entire existence, though, he's been trying to understand what humanity, not necessarily what humanity is, but why humanity makes the decisions they make. he's operated as this god level AI since his inception.
Mm-hmm.
He created Fellwinter, spoilers, as an attempt to learn what it's like to be human. I think the better story for Rasputin is we see him for a year or two as a human, and eventually he will go back to being his god omnipotent self that he was prior to when the darkness arrived.
Yeah,
But I feel like this is his oh, there's mythical stories, but like the best I can think of right now is like Hercules is a god who then loses his powers and is sent down to Earth and has to learn to become a human and work with humans. And then when he's returned to his godhood, he has a better understanding of the people he's trying to protect.
I can
And
see
I
that.
don't see how that would mesh with a Cade 6, or excuse me, a Cade 7 coming out of the Deepstone Crypt and merging with.
I mean, I agree. I can see your line of thinking. I just also narratively I can see the way they would tie it to the other one. You know?
Yeah.
Honestly, the lore people could probably do whatever they wanted. I'm sure the lore people
Yeah.
could figure out how to make your version of them merging their consciences and also keeping like their individuality.
Can we talk
And
about how
make
good
it-
those visuals look now? Trailers.
What visuals?
In the trailers.
Oh yeah, the trailers look
Sure.
great.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I'm
beautiful.
excited to see it because the map designs, like the design team on Bungie, I will say the design team on Bungie and the sound team are some of the best I've ever fucking
Mhm.
seen in
Yeah.
a game.
I mean, go look at any skybox. Seriously, go
Right,
Go
no, they
run
do
over,
skyboxes
Go run over to the
so
skybox
well.
and look out at that PvP map.
Okay, there's one over here actually.
Oh yeah,
Right. Like,
Look at
yeah,
that.
it's.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you, like
Mercury
it's
is
look at that
beautiful.
chat. Look at that.
Mm.
I still can't see it on your.
Bungalow
Sure.
did that.
yeah, like look at that tower, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like just look at that. That's
The
They-
god rays coming off the sides of the thing because
yeah,
the
like
sun's
they
setting over
have
there.
it's
Ugh.
it's just beautiful. Like if Bungie does one thing right, it's definitely the design and their sound.
Mhm.
Although they do
Right.
over texture sometimes. Some maps they over texture, so you get stuck on like a pebble.
Or they under texture in the case of the
Yeah.
trials top
Oh, true.
for
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the
stoppies.
Yeah, yeah. The
There's
cape that glitches out.
there's a gap in your stomach.
yeah.
That looked good.
That looked
Yeah.
very good.
But my point is that's a Mercury skybox.
Oh yeah, that's
That
true.
looks-
It wasn't done by
That looks beautiful.
Yeah.
but wasn't Mercury developed by a secondary house?
Hey, don't take this away from
One
Bungie.
moment.
Oh no, but Bungie still does good on everything else. I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure this one was done by like a different
The
studio.
one specific example.
right.
What were we talking about?
Uh,
There's a lot. There's a lot.
we're
Apologies.
talking about lore before going on to design and stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, my point though is that you were looking out at that tower and that beautiful skybox, and that was Mercury. And
Yeah.
the issue everybody has with Mercury and Curse of Osiris is that the story was only half baked when it came out, and it took almost a year and a half worth of the lore team going back in and trying to fix it before they were able to rectify what they did to Brother Vance.
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah,
everything that's
they.
happened. So I
There's
guess the point is that the lore team can be great, and the art team and the sound team, they always do an amazing job. And obviously the gunplay feels amazing as well. I feel like the one place they need to improve is in the storytelling
Oh, most definitely.
in game. Just having a compelling narrative. They did a really good job with the Red War with it. As much as everybody, remember when Destiny 2 first came out, before you got bored of all the content that came out on D2?
Oh, the story for Red War is amazing. I'm
Exactly.
very sad that it's going away.
I would like to see Red War level storytelling with the level of lore and content that we've been getting over the last 2 years from Bungie. And I know that's a big ask. I don't know how much that would stress the workers at Bungie, but as a player, that's my baseline expectation. If they don't meet that, that's on me. I usually just go by what Bungie says. I have my own expectations. Go ahead.
Let me ask you if Bungie doesn't deliver what you feel like they should have, will you still continue to support Destiny 2 as much as
Yes.
you are
Yeah,
right now?
I mean, they can fall short of my expectations, and as long as what they're giving me is still, decent to good, like still worth the money I pay for it, then I'm good on it.
So what would be like the final straw for you? I guess is what I'm at. What would be like I'm done. Like this is it. I gave you enough chances, and like you know what I'm saying. Like what would be that line for you guys?
I guess another Curse of
Because
Osiris.
for me, it's
if
cheaters.
they did that
For me,
again,
if they don't do the if they don't do the anti cheat, that's it. That's
Yeah.
for me next. Like on this update, that'll be my line. But like for you guys, what is yours? You are an ape. You didn't die.
I didn't. Yeah, mine would be another Curse of Osiris level.
Yeah.
Fuck up.
Well, so we had that in D1 too, wasn't it? Like
We've
wasn't
had
it
that
Curse of
all year,
Osiris?
Coda.
Huh?
Yeah.
We've had that all year. We had
It's true.
5 story missions, 2 strikes, and a raid layer that came out with Curse
Yeah,
of Osiris.
but I actually
compare that to any of the seasons that have come out this year.
I actually enjoyed it wasn't a lot, but I enjoyed what was given. Whereas with Curse of Osiris, I didn't enjoy one bit of it.
I was trying to play Ring Around the Rosy
You know,
with you, and then
like I also didn't pay a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they want to charge me $60 or something for this, then yeah, I have a problem. But I paid what?
Curse of Osiris wasn't $60; it was 20.
I know, but I didn't feel like I got $20 worth of value out of that. you know. I beat the story mission in 2 hours, and I was pretty much done with everything the DLC had to offer.
How long did it take you to beat Season of the Worthy story?
I didn't play Season of the Worthy.
Or Season of Undying story?
I didn't play Season of the Undying. I came back this season, right?
Right. I guess my point is that they've been... I think the new paradigm is September. Well, fall release will be a large content drop. And then you got to expect things that are around Curse of Osiris or the new seasonal model. That level of content for the year. So...
Right. But the problem is I do still enjoy the content that I have been getting, whereas the I didn't enjoy what I got with Curse of Osiris. I didn't the story was lame and it ended quickly. Thank you for your $20. That was it. Whereas I paid for Shadowkeep. I wasn't here the entire time, so I guess I'm it's a little bit better feeling for me that I paid for Shadowkeep. I got Shadowkeep plus this season, and I'm good on that.
So going back to your question, for me, I would say, it would have to be a number of things.
So you still have plenty of faith in. You have plenty of faith still.
It's not the faith thing. I expect Bungie to make mistakes because they're going to be trying to please both PvE and PvP. They're going to make decisions that I don't like. They're going to try to be pleasing both casuals and hardcores. Both trying to please both. If you swing one way, one side gets upset. If you swing the other side gets upset.
Yeah. But
things that bother me are things that make me feel like I have wasted my time. So there was talk at one point where they said they were going to throw out the grimoire. Now that turned out to just be them saying that it was retro. They were making it all rumor and speculation because it's all hearsay. That way they have more opportunity. It's not like it's a historical document, and that's how they've continued the lore up through that point.
Right.
Them sunsetting things the way they are, if they aren't replaced with things that are also just as fun, and then you're also taking away my toys or my playgrounds in the sense of
The destinations.
getting rid of forages and menagerie and
Yeah.
Gambit, not Gambit, Reckoning. I mean, as much as people meme on all that content, it's still content. Like, you can go do it. It offers a little bit of change up in the variety. Imagine not having anything to do but one mode of Gambit, 2 different types of strikes, 2
Right.
different types of PvP, whatever the seasonal content is, and the story, and then the raid. How long does that stretch unless they have a substantial amount of things to replace it? The other big thing for me is predatory Eververse
How's it going, crafting?
practices, which
Uh-huh.
I don't feel like they are right now.
No, they
No,
definitely
they're
toned it
they're
down.
great now.
Yeah, they definitely toned
Definitely
it down
when
a lot.
Destiny first came out, they were very predatory. Oh,
Well, I would say they are doing better now, but the fact that there isn't a Scarlet Keep set of like a ship or a ghost or some type of cosmetic to come from that, and yet it all exists in Eververse, that kind of stuff bothers me.
oh yeah.
There should be cosmetics in game. But that being said, like the seasonal, like Halloween or Christmas or Valentine's Day stuff, that stuff doesn't bother me. That stuff I think is healthy for keeping the game running as a live service. But when it gets to the point where they're ignoring game rewards or gameplay for Eververse stuff, that's when I start to get bothered. But honestly, and I've said this to everybody I've played with, I just like shooting these guns.
Yeah, no, the gunplay in Destiny is the best out of any game I've played.
Right. The core gunplay is so good. That is what keeps me coming back. I feel like when I line up my shot goes where I expect it to go.
That's what keeps me going in PvP. Is that feeling of when I land those shots, it feels rewarding. It just feels like I deserve to land. You know, like I put in the effort. That, you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, like it just feels nice. Like you did that, you got that kill and it's yours. And
Right.
that to me is the biggest thing about Destiny's gunplay. Is it just feels so nice when you get it down.
Agreed. So, I mean, I don't know that there's one particular thing that would ever make me say, okay, I'm done with Destiny. It would have to probably be something similar to what happened with Curse of Osiris and Warmind, where I continued to see the company heading in a direction that was more casual, more focused on microtransactions, not communicating with their fan base. And I didn't feel like I should support Bungie anymore. And then I took a break for a while, came back for Forsaken for a little bit, left again. I've always been of the mindset, if you're not enjoying a game, put it down, and if it gets good again, come back.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not a fan of this year's seasonal content, because you missed out on everything from Season of Dawn to Season of Worthy to Season of Undying. So, like, there's just content that you never got to do because they decided to sunset it after 3 months. I'm not a fan of that.
Like, you can't do the Fellwinter's Quest anymore.
Right. Now, I think they said everything's going to be around for a year now, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or am I making that up because that's what I want to happen? So if seasonal content's around for a year and you have 12 months to come back and eventually do that season's content, I think that's a good middle ground of, we need to get rid of the old content. You have a year to get everything done.
Real quick timeout. Crafting Dragon wants to know what Tower Radio is. Tower Radio is the new podcast that I'm starting. This is episode 1 of it, where I'm gonna, me and Dead and pretty much people from the clan, we're gonna just talk about how we're feeling about the game. I might throw in other games. If we run out of content to talk about Destiny, like, we might talk about Minecraft.
Terrible game.
But right now it's a Destiny kind of focused podcast that we're gonna hopefully be doing weekly. Okay, as you were
And you
saying.
can find it at twitch.tv/theKingColor.
That's right.
No, I said my part as far as what would make me stop playing, and I don't necessarily think I'd ever stop playing for good.
Play.
I just stopped playing until I think it would be fun again.
That's honestly fair. That's what I did in between Forsaken.
Well, that's
and
why I
Shadowbreak.
like this season. Like I'm enjoying this season just because of how long it is. I don't have to, like, I'm just now going for Ruinous Effigy, you know. And
Right.
usually on other seasons I would feel rushed.
Well, the
to
season would
get
be
it done.
over normally
Yeah,
by now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like I would feel like, oh, either I didn't get it or I'd feel rushed.
But
But
yeah,
like
year-long
this,
seasons, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, like I'm enjoying it because I have time, and then like when I run out of things to do, I'm like, oh, I want to go do this, and I can go do this now. This is why I'm doing like Ruinous Effigy and Lumina. So it's fun being able to do that in this season without having to worry about anything new coming out that I gotta like grind. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like missing out. So I'm excited for the year. If they really are doing it, I'm excited for the year-long seasons, content they do.
All right, we are almost at the 2-hour mark, so we're gonna be wrapping up here pretty quick. Shank, you came in last, so there were a few topics that you didn't get to weigh in on. What do you think of the Travelers Chosen? First off, the quest, and then we'll kind of like the gun, because we already spoke our mind, but you didn't get a chance to.
Spark Notes version. It is a subpar exotic. Not saying it's a bad exotic. It's just not my particular jam for something that I would consider exotic. The quest itself is a nice mixture of casual and lore friendly. If you actually take the time to read the tabs as the NPCs are giving you stuff, and kind of explains what's going on. It's where the story is now instead of in cutscenes. And I really enjoyed that. I like these types of exotics. It's the same way the Fellwinter quest went, but Fellwinter was a legendary. Traveler's Chosen still feels like it should be legendary.
So you don't think the exotic perk
I
of
think-
refunding energy makes it exotic?
I think the fact you have to hold reload to activate it makes it less useful. For a PvE main myself, I think it's more of a PvP gun.
Don't you think it?
I think it's more PvE.
I was thinking about this. Don't you think it would be a lot stronger if that perk activated automatically? Like,
I
you
think
get a
what
kill,
it should
you
do
get restored.
is it has like a 10-second timer where ×1 starts, and if you get another kill, it goes to ×2 on a 10-second timer, ×3 on a 10-second timer, and that increases the regen rate of your enemies. That would be that to me says this is an exotic gun that you should waste your exotic slot on, because your abilities are going to be up all the time if you play to this gun's strengths. And especially on a build like mine that relies a lot on abilities, it would be perfect. But the thought of needing to first get my kills, get a decent amount of stacks, then manually trigger the weapon while I'm using a sidearm, which I'm not really a fan of, I don't know. It's just one too many steps outside of my normal gameplay loop. Then I feel
You're so
comfortable with. I'm
fast.
sure somebody loves it. Janae or Aimer, I don't know. Somebody probably loves it, but it's just saying.
Oh, his name's Kaz. All right. What was? Oh yeah. What's an underrated weapon, Shank, that people should go out and get like right now and use? that you don't see it very often.
Underrated weapon.
It can be legendary, exotic, whatever.
Give me a second to pull up them.
It could be a blue.
It could be blue.
No.
You like those
That
eggs?
they can still get right now.
Yeah,
Poker
that
type.
a good one to go and like work on grabbing, basically, while you're waiting for the new expansion.
Honestly, I just think. I mean, I know it's the usual answer, but I think gnawing hunger, obviously.
I
But you're
said
saying
underrated.
Well, you're saying what should people farm and what is underrated. Something underrated, I would consider something.
Like
Some
Dark Tumulus sniper rifle. You
no,
know,
like Steel Feather Repeater, I really like. I think Steel Feather Repeater is incredibly strong. I have a roll with Feeding Frenzy and Multi Kill Clip, and the thing just shreds. But I don't think there's any way for you to farm it right now because
Oh.
it's from Season of the Worthy. Something to go out and farm for right now.
Seven Seraph anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those War Mind Cell builds are really freaking strong, and they're gonna be until March. You know what I mean? Like, you still got another 6 months of having fun with them, and that's saying that another new set of War Mind Cells like don't come back in because they reintroduced more charge with light mods. Who knows if they're gonna reintroduce more War Mind Cell
True.
mods?
What kind of exotic would you make if you?
Oh yeah, exotic perk.
Yeah.
Exotic
What
perk.
kind of or just any kind of perk would you make if you could make it? Like a new one. Like if you could add a new perk, one to be.
I would like something similar to what Wishender was like when it was broken. Something
Where you
with
could
puncture
see.
damage.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily that it does as much like boss melting,
Mm-hmm.
but something that if you're very cognizant about where you're playing and how you're lining up your shots, you can take out either a lot of enemies at once, or you can do a lot of boss damage because you decided to go to this corner rock all the way over to the left, line up your shot. I played a lot of Monster Hunter World, and a lot of the bow builds relied on you getting into position, lining up your shot, and then using piercing damage to hit the boss for 20 or 30 hits all in one shot. I'd like to see something like that in Destiny. I don't know. I really liked it when Wishender was around.
It's kind of neat that you went for a bow perk because that was a lot of the like thoughts was bow stuff like auto rifle fire on bows or
That's
Ricochet round on bows.
ricochet round was my idea. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
My main idea was I want a weapon like tractor cannon where it pushes you away, but it doesn't like one hit kill. It's just about the pushback.
Nice play.
That to me, I think it is more like fun kind of perk that they could add. It's like a troll weapon, and there's not enough of those in Destiny as it currently stands. Hook gun was one of the suggestions too, and that also I think is kind of a troll.
I think would be a cool gun. You know how we're talking about Traveler's Chosen and that buff it gives to ability regen.
Uh-huh.
You know Rat King? How if you have a bunch of people using Rat King, I think it would be cool if there was an exotic that had that effect where it increases your ability regen rate for the members of your fire team.
Oh, so like another support
if
gun.
you get 6 people running that gun,
It's like a.
you could literally just continuously toss nades no matter where you're at. I don't know. I like fun stuff like that, and that might break the game. So, I mean, maybe that would be too OP.
I can see that. Destiny definitely needs more guns that are like
that are
support
fun,
oriented.
just memey.
Yeah. Well, that like support oriented. Like Lumina is the only healing gun, but maybe you make like a trace rifle that like heals people whenever you hold it on them, like Mercy's healing staff.
I was just
yeah.
thinking that. I was thinking sort of like a plasma pistol from Halo that you hold down and you shoot your friendly and it heals them a bit.
Maybe that's just my level Lumina coming back into the conversation.
I mean, honestly, you're getting me to want to try out Lumina just because I do feel like there's a need for more support
What?
stuff.
Uh-huh.
There just isn't enough in the game, and I don't know if it's because it's a first-person shooter, it makes it more difficult to
I think I'm
implement
pretty
it
sure
into the
that's what
game.
it is. It's 'cause
But
it's a
they got
first-person
some
shooter.
smart people at Bungie. Like,
Right.
I feel like they could do it.
Like, do they need another gun that gets kill clip? Like,
Or
Right,
less
yeah.
support and more tank.
Oh yeah.
Like, this exotic halves all the damage you do, but doubles your resilience. Or not your resilience, but your actual HP. So I can sit as a Titan and
honest.
tank boss shots while everybody else is able to get in position and do extra DPS because the boss is no longer trying to fire at them.
Right.
Like, I've always been like a tank in MMOs.
Or was something that like disrupts or stuns a boss from like his stomp animation or something like that.
Yeah. Like something that actually draws in aggroes, and then you as a class member are able to take that added aggro.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. Those would be pretty cool. I would enjoy all that.
Yeah, I will accept offers. No, just
No, just
Don't
do
do it
it.
for me.
Just do it.
This
what
is the hot
else?
spot I'm telling you about.
Yeah, I see that. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Were you here while we were talking about changes coming to Mountaintop?
I started listening at that point.
Okay.
My solution is to make all pinnacles exotics.
I agree with that. It keeps
Because
the
people-
value of grinding for them while.
Well, right, and once swords get nerfed and auto rifles don't have like god tier time to kill, they'll switch off to something else.
Mhm.
But there's no way for you to run, say, Anarchy Mountaintop anymore. That's just not a DPS strategy. If you want a special grenade launcher that fires straight rockets and does insane DPS, that's your exotic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a sniper that refunds when you miss, that's your exotic.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a good exotic perk, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Recluse, I think, would work well. 21%, I think, would need a little bit of a buff. Edgewise would need a lot of a buff. What are some of the other ones people don't talk about as much? I'm trying to think.
Randy's throwing knife.
Randy's, how fast?
Would definitely need a buff.
Yeah, I think Randy's would need a buff. But let's be honest, with the scout rifle, I don't think anybody's going to waste their exotic on a scout rifle. Like, Midas is
Looking at Midas,
really
yeah.
good. No, Midas is really good. Its perk does a lot of things, but it's still a scout rifle. And nobody's going to waste their exotic slot on the scout rifle.
Right, unless you're on like Widow's Court or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other.
Stop. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Honestly, making them exotics was my first thought whenever people are like, I don't want this to go away.
Right, and I don't think they should go away because
I definitely don't think they should go away.
Clearly, they have a spot in the meta. And I mean, I'm sorry. It goes back to that PvE versus PvP sandbox thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
you're saying
that's
you don't
definitely
want it around because bad PvP players like myself use it as a crutch. I 100% agree. That doesn't mean you should take it away from me using it in PvE, because it is really good in PvE for being able to do blast damage at a far away distance, knowing your shot's going to land exactly where you shoot it. I mean, it's in the game now, and nothing's really going to replace that.
Right.
But I do agree it's a little overpowered for a legendary. a lot overpowered for a legendary.
It just gets used in so much content.
Right. Because there's no reason not to use it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you don't see people use it in are things where death matters, flawless runs, grandmaster. No,
Even in
so
flawless, I still see it. Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
have
because
Ace on here
here's-
sometime to talk about
I'd like to too.
trials.
Trials. I don't think Trials is a mess. I think PvP
Nice
is a mess.
plays. That's how you beat an auto rifle. Shit.
I yeah, I mean, I at the same time, I don't want there to be a split. I mean, this is the topic for a different stream, but I don't want there to be a split because I want, like, you get a weapon, you're like, I want to see what this does. Take it into PvP, you know?
Yeah.
It, like, them being different between the two can confuse people, and
Allow people to be confused.
that's true.
Have you seen the spreadsheets on Final Fantasy 14?
That's very true.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you're confused, then go watch Datto. He'll explain it for you. And I'm not even saying that they need to be taken out. I just think they need to be able to balance them separately. It
Mhm.
should take it. Mountaintop should not do as much damage in PvP as it does in PvE.
I agree.
In PvE, it should be here. In PvP, there is no reason not to use it, except for shame. Which, if you're like myself, I have no shame when I'm in PvP. I'm there to get stuff done. So I don't think they should be completely separate sandboxes. I still think that your Feeding Frenzy, multi-kill clip, auto rifle should be in both. I just think they should be balanced differently.
Right, I get you. Real quick, we forgot to do this. When we all joined, we introduced ourselves. We forgot to introduce you. Do you
yeah,
want
that's
to?
good.
This is Shank. He's our raid daddy. Do you want to kind of like talk about your experiences with Destiny? I mean, most of it's the clan people here, but for anyone
Right.
that doesn't know,
Shank 14, Raid Daddy. I don't know why.
Because you're
Just
the
kinda
raid
stuck.
daddy.
Just kind of stuck. I don't even Sherpa people through the raids. That's Corks. I started Destiny back in House of Wolves, Destiny 1. Went through, did all the raids, pretty much 100% of Destiny 1. I'm a completionist kind of player. I've always have been. And Destiny's loot cycle and grindiness has kept me coming back for 6 years, 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
I came out about 3 or 4 months before Taking King came out, so that was really my first introduction. King's Fall still to this day, I think, is my favorite raid.
Oh yeah.
I would say Last Wish if the Ribbon Cheese wasn't still there. I am a raider first and foremost. I do like doing in-game content. I like to just challenge myself by doing any and all challenges that are in games. I tried Savage raiding when I went over to Final Fantasy 14 for a bit. I wish there was something like Savage raiding in Destiny. And that's what I think that contest modifier thing could be. But that's kind of my thing, is trying to see what the biggest challenges are in the game and trying to see if I can do them.
So you'd be a like the world's first kind of people.
yeah.
So like you're down to do that for like no matter what, like the pits, you want to do it, like you want to challenge yourself, like you're that kind of guy, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to see that kind of content in the game form. And I
For sure.
know only 5% of players will ever end up playing that, but I think it's a shame when you don't
Mm-hmm.
give your most dedicated players
Oh please, bro, you're
carrot.
preaching to the choir, dog. You're preaching to the
ca-
choir.
you don't give them a carrot to chase after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of me. I'll
get
always
you.
come from that place. Anytime you have me on here, you're going to see me arguing from the hardcore side of the argument. I understand having people who are more casual still having content to do. And I agree that for the health of the game, that stuff needs to be there, but I'm not the person going to be championing that argument. So that's
Okay.
me.
And we're pretty much at the end of our stream. One last thing is just roundhouse. Everyone like mention your current goals in Destiny 2, stuff that like you're working on, and that'll be it for us. Right now, my goal is to get good at PvP and masterwork some gear.
Mine is to get better at sniping. I've been doing triple snipers every time I'm usable, and I want to get into PVE with Kodo over here is going to be my Sherpa. So I'm interested and excited to get into some more PVE activities. So that's my goals.
My goal is to finally get the game to drop a hand cannon for me or a machine gun. I haven't gotten a machine gun either.
Oh, you could
so,
go get
know,
Lumina.
Hey, you can do
Realist-
Illumina.
Jesus,
Realistic
like,
goals.
gosh.
And my goal is to get everything that's going into the Destiny content vault by November. And that is completely realistic, and you can't tell me otherwise. It's not.
Oof.
Send help.
It's really not.
Send help, yes.
All right, and that's going to do it for Tower Radio for the first episode. I think that went pretty well.
Yeah,
If you guys got any suggestions or feedback, please feel free to like say it in the chat. I'll be looking. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
See you guys.